I started my own wine business, my dream job, and I still got burnt out on it. There's two big things that I think led to this, and here's how I fixed it. My name is Marie Cheslick. I am the owner of Slick Wines. It's the tail end of my last name. I really started in August of 2020 during COVID and started doing a lot of virtual events to start. While I was doing these virtual events, I started creating content as a way to advertise what I did and also just to get more comfortable in front of a camera for a lot of these online events. This job even became my main source of income. I even got a few accolades and I even have a book in the works, and I'm very proud of that. But I would say about a month ago, I started getting this roadblock. And this roadblock I just thought was a creative block. I gave myself some time to sit on it, think about it. I realized that there was a lot more going on. All I really wanted to do was play games on my Nintendo Switch and just tune out the rest of the world. So I knew I knew something was wrong and I needed to figure out what that was. So I went on a lot of car rides. I watched a lot of movies, a lot of Miyazaki movies, started reading some books and just going to the lake and just thinking about what is wrong. Just a scenery change. I didn't know if I was depressed or anxious or what was going on. All of this was really just an attempt to ask myself, what do I want and what do I want my business Slick Wines to be? The first thing I really think caused my burnout is running a creative business in general. Starting a business is hard, but I do not sell a product. I don't sell bottles of wine. I sell myself. I am the product. I am Slick Wines. So any sort of content or product I do want to make or video or class or whatever I decide to do has to come from my own brain all the time. And this is equal parts exhilarating and intimidating. There's an immense pressure to do something that makes the audience happy and makes you money. And this is incredibly practical, of course. You want some level of marketability or popularity because that's what pays the bills at the end of the day, whether it's the audience that sees it. So if you post a video on TikTok, get 1 million views and you're part of the creator beta program, you get paid to make that video. Or if a brand pays you for that creativity and for that video, they pay you based on those metrics. So you kind of do need to have some level of virality if you want to make this your business. And I didn't realize how big of a problem that was. Making money on your creative business and your creative endeavor puts so much pressure on the things that you should create. And to start, I really didn't mind because I was sort of just shooting from the hip and saying, sure, like whatever kind of makes sense. I want to try this. Like I started making this online course and I started writing this book based on what my audience wanted. And I call them affectionately still the Slick Squad. So what does the Slick Squad want and what can I create that is something that fills that niche, but also is something that I can sell? And at the beginning, it was exciting and did feel pretty genuine because I liked exploring these new mediums. And I saw success with both of those things. I have a literary agent for the book, which is amazing. And I even made some money off the online course. But I will say the amount of effort is huge for myself because I didn't want to put out a product that seemed half-assed or seemed like it wasn't something I really felt passionate about. I really put a lot of effort into both the book and the online course. And for example, with the online course, I've seen so many terrible online courses that you pay $150, you get slideshows, and videos that you could probably find on YouTube pretty easily. And even if you couldn't find them on YouTube, people don't want to pay $150 just for a bunch of pre-recorded slides. They want something else. And I was like, well, that's what I would want. I would want access to me. So that's what I did. I created a Discord discussion page where I try to encourage people to talk about different topics every week based on what we were learning. I even did open office hours where I was available for 4 hours every week so I could talk to students. And I made it really an open dialogue. Like I put a lot of myself into the course to make it feel worth it. And I would do that for about 7 weeks. After a while, I found it to be really unsustainable. People emailing me and, asking questions at a lot of different times a day and asking myself like, what kind of boundaries do I set up? And does this really make sense? And if I set up these kind of boundaries, do I need to be able to price it differently? I just didn't like the format in general. And so I let that go. And when it comes to making content, you are so plugged into what other people are creating, at least to start, because you don't really know what to do and you want to do sort of the right thing. So much like any sort of creative or artistic endeavor, you might look at people you admire. And I don't want to say you copy these people, but you could to start, just to get the idea of like, I really like this video. Let's do an exercise where I recreate this video. What kind of things would I need? What would that look like? And so by doing that to start, I got a really good sense of like what people were doing. And for me personally, I was really losing my own voice within that, because I kept on sort of hopping on bandwagons and trends of like what you're supposed to do, or what you think you're supposed to do, or what is the most viral opener, or based on SEO or marketing or statistics, how should the video start? What should the video be about? Like, I understand all of these marketing bits of it. But for me, it really takes away the artistic and creative endeavor of it. And then before I knew it, I kind of found myself accepting money for projects I didn't even really want to do, because in the back of my mind too, I can't necessarily do exactly what I want all the time, because maybe that thing won't make me money. And that is very stressful when this thing is your full-time job. And I was finding that Slick itself was creating the stress in my life, which seemed just so stupid. And I felt really guilty about that, because it's like the thing I created. Like, if I don't like it, I should just change it. But I felt like I couldn't, because I was dependent on certain machines and certain things working within it. I started reading this book by Rick Rubin, which really helped me a lot answer all these questions for myself. It's The Creative Act, A Way of Being. I'll put it in the description below. And there is a piece in here that really specifically helped me find my voice within navigating all of this. It's not always easy to follow the subtle, energetic information the universe broadcasts, especially when your friends, family, coworkers, or those with a business interest in your creativity are offering seemingly rational advice that challenges your intuitive knowing. To the best of my ability, I followed my intuition to make career turns and have been recommended against doing so every time. It helps to recognize that it's better to follow the universe than those around you. Because I was looking either at the audience so much, or other people so much, or people with the money so much, that I started not trusting myself. I worked as a nurse. I worked in hospitality and restaurants. I am at nature a people pleaser, because I believe that if people have come to these conclusions about a certain thing, there's probably a good logical reason for it, and it's worth listening to. But at the end of the day, you have to look yourself in the mirror, and you have to be okay with the decisions that you make. And even if you make the wrong decision, whatever that means, it's still yours. And that's the thing that's going to feel the most fulfilling at the end of the day than going with someone else's decision that might make more sense. I don't want to make calculated, analytical, market-friendly, SEO-able content anymore. If it falls into that realm, great, so be it. But I really just want to make the content I want to create. That's how I fix this. The audience comes last. You need to help yourself first. You need to get rid of that you need to do something because someone else wants you to do it. You have to remember why you started creating and why you started this business or why you started making videos, and you need to write it down on a sticky note, put it on your computer. Do not forget why you do what you do. Creative businesses are hard, and trusting yourself is the best way to fix that. The second biggest thing that led to my burnout were sort of these growing pains and the fear of success. It's wonderful. Do not get me wrong. It's wonderful to work hard on something and then see the fruits of your labor for it. Again, with the literary agent, making a chunk of money, making enough money to have this be my full-time gig was a really powerful feeling, let alone the accolades that come on top of it, like in Wine Enthusiast, and also the PR boxes that you get. You get things in the mail from winemakers all the time. It's a good feeling. People recognize you on the street, and I even get opportunities to travel internationally because of what I do, and that is a powerful thing, and that's only because I have grown and I have put in that work and people have seen it. It's exhilarating, and it is no doubt the best part of this influencer job that I have, and it seems like the next logical step when you get all of this great press and work and clients coming in that you need to up your game. You need to get better production, maybe hire some people to offload some of the work that you do. And that's exactly what I did. I was making enough money to feel confident about putting into this agency group that were also part of the Slick Squad. They really liked what I did and talked about working together. And I offered even equity for them for working with me at a certain rate. And it feels great. We get along really well. The flow is good. I'm putting a lot of effort into scripting more videos and getting a bit more serious about the video production process, as opposed to just me kind of winging it, making a either TikTok sized or 3-minute sized video. So I was feeling very confident. But just as quickly as you feel confident about it, you start seeing some things that maybe people don't talk about as much, where even if you hire a team, you still have to manage this team. And managing a team takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of time away from the things that you enjoyed about being creative in the first place. So I was spending a lot of time redirecting, putting people in certain directions. And then even the agency group I was working with had decided that they actually wanted more of a higher payment instead of this equity piece that they originally had talked about with me, which is fine. And at the end of the day, I'm glad I have all of my equity, but that just means I had to pay more out of pocket for them. They got kind of uncomfortable because I couldn't afford it. And there's this weird feeling of both embarrassment and guilt when that happens. I fight for a certain rate for what I do as well. And I know I'm not the easiest person to probably negotiate with because I know what these things are kind of worth. And I understand that because I have the combination of trade expertise. I was a wine director for a Michelin star restaurant, and I also have a decent level of notoriety on the internet. So if someone tells me that this is the rate that they need to be able to survive, then who am I to really negotiate that much harder? So it was a disheartening conversation of like, I never want to take advantage of anyone. There are people who know what they're worth, and I have to respect that, but that just means that all the pressure gets put back on me to do everything. And part of these growing pains is that, well, now I've put out X amount of videos at this certain production, at this certain level, with certain scripting. Like, am I supposed to keep up with that, me personally? And I tried, and I think this is where I hit my breaking point in this past month, which was me trying to edit videos like how the professional editor was editing videos, which is, maybe impossible or might never reach that level. I don't mind editing. I know it's a very necessary part of the process for video making. But when I realized that that was going to be a majority of my job for the amount of content I wanted to put out, which was like a long form a week, I was just putting a lot of pressure on myself to be that person. It just sucks to reach a certain point and to think that you made it in some capacity and then realize that you haven't, and then you're kind of back to square one. So how do I fix these sort of growing pains, or how do I get over these growing pains, and how do I deal with the adjustment of all the workflow that comes with that? This progress is not linear. I felt like I was going up, 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 up for a long time. And then now just recently, I feel like I went back down. But really at the end of the day, yes, I could try to fight to be some sort of big media company, but it's really just me. It's all I can afford right now. It's all I really want to do right now is just make videos exactly the way I want to make them without necessarily having the end goal of like selling the company. So I think when people see these growing pains, it's okay that if it's not exactly the trajectory you want it to be, there's going to be bumps, and this is just one of those bumps. But that doesn't mean you should stop making content because it's not exactly how it was before. It's probably better now because you're more certain about the things you want and the things you want to talk about. And even if your passions or your interests kind of change as you go, I think as long as you keep that passion, that's why people follow you. People like you as a person when it comes to these creative businesses, and you are the product. If people like you, people will like you wherever you go. I used to think I pigeonholed myself a bit by being like, shit, like wine. Like I do like wine. I worked in wine. And now my perspective's changing a little bit, but I also think that's okay. I think we're all human, and there will be conversations and a place to talk about wine, but now I'm more excited to try other things. Allowing to fall and not be linear has allowed me to be more authentic and creative in the things I want to create. So I've found myself out of this deep hole of depression or, perfectionism or whatever my problem really was, but now what? So I'm still not making much money on the practical side. I'm making videos, which may or may not make me money sometimes. So how do I find this balance? How do I find about working again, creating money in general, and creating content with Slick? And I think for no matter who you are, that's a very personal question. Some people might go back to try to do more cold calls, more emails, being like, oh, I need to schedule more events, or I need to try the online course again, or I need to work harder on this book, right? There could be ways to do it within the business. For me personally, I think it's going to be healthier for me to make my money outside of Slick. I have a nursing degree. It's the world's greatest backup plan. It's also a career where I could work 2 or 3 days a week and be okay. I can pay my bills and put a little bit in savings just working 2 or 3 days a week, which is amazing. And I feel like I want to take that opportunity to do that. I want Slick to stay creative, and I don't want to owe anyone anything within the Slick sphere. If people reach out to me and the partnership works and they're okay with me creating what I want to create, then awesome. Then that works out great. But I don't want to feel like how I did, where I felt like I had to do a certain thing or be a certain way to make sure I hit the numbers or hit the whatevers, right? So personally, my work-life balance, I'm going to probably start working as a nurse again. I don't know if that'll be in a hospital working night shift, which would make me the most amount of money for the least amount of work. But I did sign up for a nurse anesthetist, or like a Botox nurse class, which is a really cush office hours kind of gig. A lot of them start as part-time, and if they like you, they move you up to full-time. So I feel like that would be a great way for me to try a different realm of nursing and get paid to do that. And that way I can kind of keep my work, and my play. And for me, that is what I want. Again, if you're watching this video and you're in a similar situation, you'll probably come up with a different answer than I do. And I'm going to leave you just like with one bit of creative advice and how to become successful on any app that you're on. The secret to popularity is luck. You need to work hard, you need to put out videos, you need to have ideas for these videos, and you need to put them in a place where people can see it. But if you put them in a place where the most people can see it, like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, and you post consistently, you are increasing your chances of luck tenfold, 100-fold sometimes. Your luck that the right person will see it who will offer you a book deal or offer you a brand sponsorship opportunity is just going to be that much higher if you put action to it. And people get popular for reasons that we don't always necessarily know. It's not always the case that someone's work is strictly better than another's. It's just that they took action, they put it out into the world, and it hit. It was just popular at the time. So as much as people want to push algorithm or push SEO, yeah, maybe you're slightly decreasing your chances of getting a dud, but the universe really, truly just works in mysterious ways. So if you're even questioning putting yourself out there, you're not going to get lucky if you don't. So good luck. Thank you for listening. Let me know if this helped. This was really, again, more for me. And I hope that if you're watching this all the way to the end, that you found something useful. So thank you guys. I appreciate you.